So after the need of taxonomy, the next main point to understand is the processes which are in the taxonomy. So first of all, the organisms are supposed to be described for all its morphological as well as the other characteristics, and this is called as characterization. So first thing to study a living organism is to write down all the identifiable morphological as well as other types of characters, and that means noting down all these characters of organism is called as characterization. So once characterization has been done, the next step is, on the basis of these characters, it is decided whether it is similar to one set of organisms, one group or one category, which is called as taxa. I told you the word taxa in the last class. So whether it belongs to this, whether it is more similar to the one type of organism or the other type of organism. So this helps us to make a gross identification of the organism. So once we have finished the writing down of the characters, which is called as characterization, the identification is performed on the basis of the characters which have been found. Now after the identification, based on these similar characteristics, it is then placed in a known taxa. Now because a new organism, for example, a new organism has been discovered, so the first point for each researcher is to perform the characterization. After characterization, we try to identify the organism, and if we find this organism is a new organism, we have to give it a particular place. That means which category, which order, which family, everything, we have to decide where to place it. So on the basis of these similarities, it is then placed in a known taxa. So already described taxa it is fit into, and this is called as the classification of organism. And once this classification has been organism, we search whether anybody has discovered and described and named this organism. If we find that in the scientific body nobody has so far named this organism, so the last step, the fourth step is, if the organism has not been named before, it is given a correct scientific name, and this is called as the concept of nomenclature. So this is how the whole process of taxonomy talks about. The main objective of taxonomy is to identify the organism, then name the organism according to the set rules. I told you in the last class, rules are set by some organization or the unions. So according to those set rules, the organism is given a name. Once the name is given, it is supposed to be given a particular place, that is the classification, a respective a particular group it has to join. So these are the basic steps or the functions of taxonomy. Out of these steps, identification and classification deals with the practical approach, while nomenclature deals with the theoretical approach. Now, what exactly is the history of the classification? Let's go through. So the early Greek scholars and naturalists, they contributed substantially to the development of the biological science. There was a scientist, or there was a naturalist, a Greek scholar, Hippocrates, from 460 to 377 before Christ, and is known as the father of medicine. And Aristotle, from 384 to 322 before Christ, is known as the father of biology as well as of zoology. They categorized animals and plants. So these people, great thinkers and philosophers, these people were involved with the categorization of plants and animals, and they arranged animals into four major groups. So those groups were insects, birds, fishes and whales. Now in the same manner, Theophrastus, whom we generally refer to as father of botany, from 370 through 285 BC, often referred to as father of botany, gave names and identification and description of 480 different plants in his book. He classified plants on the basis of their habits into four categories like trees, shrubs, undershrubs and herbs. We all know these concepts, like what are trees and how they are different from the shrubs. And then the smaller than the shrubs are the undershrubs, and then we have the herbs. Now Pliny the Elder, 28 to 79 AD, introduced the first artificial system of classification in his book, and then John Ray in 1627 to 1705 introduced the term species for a group of morphologically similar organisms. So who introduced the term species? The answer in your MCQ is supposed to be the John Ray. Now there's a famous naturalist, Swedish naturalist, also called as the father of taxonomy or father of systematics, that is the Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, 1707 to 1778, a Swedish naturalist, introduced the system of nomenclature. Nomenclature means naming of plants and animals, which is now worldwide is known as binomial system of nomenclature. Binomial means there are two words in it, that's why it is called as binomial. He is referred to as father of systematics or referred to as father of taxonomy, and he introduced the concept of the two kingdom system of classification, that means the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. So he was the first one to give a scientific type of classification on the basis of a large number of features, and that concept is called as the two kingdom system of classification, including plant kingdom, animal kingdom. And he introduced also the binomial method of nomenclature.